A man asked this question: why do a lot of people deny young women like older men? And he asked this in the Ask Men Advice subreddit. I think that this would be more appropriately asked to a women's subreddit or a women network. So I'm asking this in my networks. All right. So he says a lot of women age 18 to 25 like older men in their 30s, 40s, and 50s for sex and relationships. But some people seem to deny or reject it happens. Obviously, anything can happen. And the words a lot of people, that is very generic. I know personally, and I did actually answer this question. I was like, I am a 44-year-old woman, so obviously I'm older. But when I was in my 20s, I shuddered at the thought of dealing with an older man. Ew. And older was anyone my daddy's age. Now, as an older woman with a pretty big network of women, I periodically ask the 20-somethings, are y'all interested in older men? So many are like, hell no, or just for the money. And then I was like, actually, I'm going to make a poll question. So I went over to my YouTube community page and made a poll question asking, if you're 18 to 25, were you or are you interested in dating a man that's over the age of 30? And if you're over the ages of 18 to 25, just think back to that time. So it's going to be interesting to see how this poll pans out. But I've talked to enough women to know that typically the younger women, especially the younger women right now, are not interested. But I do want you to go ahead and chime in, as you know, if you're 20 somethings, chime in, but think back to a time when you were 20 something. Were you interested in a man who's over the age of 30, 40, 50? Go ahead and chime in. If you want to do the poll though, you got to go over to my BurbNBougie YouTube page. Let's look at a few of the comments underneath the post. Club Zealous Ideal says Reddit does not reflect reality and the internet brings out the worst in people. So saying that you don't date older men or that women are not dating older men is the worst. Crispy Bacon Salad said, I have a friend from high school that started dating men in their 40s when she was in her early 20s. We're in our mid 30s now and she's currently married to her second older husband. It's what she likes, but she has one example. That's not a lot of people. Swimming Acadia says, who's denying it happens? Moscom says, no one's denying it happens, but older women sure get pissed off about it. I happen to be an older woman and I'm not pissed off about it, but I don't believe that it's just happening like some of these people act like it's happening. This is me again. Most of us older women were young before. That's why many of us answer the way we do. Bovine Joni himself says, lots of older women like younger guys too. Crispy Bacon Salad says, my husband is 8 years younger than me. Not that far off, but I'm still older. Most dope black guy says, they don't really act on it though. I don't know why men continue to speak on women. They should really go speak to women in women's subs or co-ed spaces, but they don't. They really believe that they know what women like. Bovine Joni himself says, yeah, they do. At least in my experience, I dated so many women in their 30s when I was in my 20s. It was amazing. Most dope black man says, I'm not talking 30s. I never considered them old. I'm talking 40 and up. Bovine Joni says 30s to 20s is a pretty big age gap as it is. I can see why a 40-year-old might be hesitant to date a dude in his 20s. And this dude at the bottom says, yep, 17 and 34 rocked my world. Most dope black man says that's because they have to compete with younger women and they think it's unfair. But as a man, you turn 18 and now you have to compete with men who are established at 30 and 40. It's not fair, but I feel like it's one aspect of human nature that's balanced and not a double standard. Ladies who are over the age of 25, do you feel like you're in a competition? Or do you feel like, I am not interested in the same men that an 18 to 25-year-old would be going after? Please chime in the comments. We got a man D&D player saying jealousy is a B word. We got Big Country said, even though many of them rejected their near age peers in their youth in favor of more established men, what goes around comes around. So still, they are believing that women were just going for these older men. That's their refrain. That's their talking point. So please chime in in the comments with your experience with dating, or are you interested in dating these older guys? Have you dated the older guys? Chime in and go over to my poll over on YouTube. We've talked about this before, how it does not really seem like these dudes really like the women in their lives, how they don't really like their wives or girlfriends. So this woman said in the advice subreddit, overheard fiancé talking about me and women in general. If you overhear your fiancé, your boyfriend, your husband talking mess about you and women, that should be like, how do I execute a plan to get out? Because if he doesn't like me, why am I sticking and staying? And this dude is a fiancé. Definitely don't marry a person who doesn't like you. Anyways, let's look at her post. She says, I recently got engaged to my fiancé, who is extremely affectionate, loving, and sweet to me daily. We have been together for 5 years and are both 30 years old. However, today I got really upset that I had gained a bit of weight, and we argued about it. I always thought, and he assured me, he kept our disagreements and my insecurities private. I keep everything private that he confides to me. Today, I overheard him talking about me while gaming. He thought that I had gone to volleyball. He was saying how much he hates women, that we're all the same, effing can't stand women, and that I drive him crazy. Women are all psychos and are all the same, that it would be easier if they could just be gay together. If your woman doesn't drive you crazy, then she's a dude. He loves me, but I drive him crazy. That right there, that is enough to say we should break up, because what the actual F? Like, why would you stay with someone that says, I can't effing stand women? It would be easier if they could just be gay. Please let them go out and live the life that they want to. Release that man. I was honestly shocked because I've never heard him talk this way about women, or me for that matter. He said after our third date, he sealed the deal and asked his friend all about his sex life and started talking about how crazy different girls in the past were. Jesus Louises. He called other women effing B words, fat, and some are only good for the buck, and then you drop them. Ill, gross, please break up. He honestly sounded like a stranger to me. I've never heard him say things like this, and I understand ranting and blowing off steam, but this made me feel like I didn't even know him. It really bothers me to be with someone that sounds so misogynistic. Am I being overly sensitive? You are underreacting. At that moment, you should have walked into the room and just kind of looked. Not even said anything, just kind of looked. Because even if you were arguing about you gaining weight, it does not mean that you go off on a whole misogynistic rant and can't stand women and talking about women are crazy B words and all of this. This is madness to me, and this type of person needs to be lonelier. When I say make these dudes lonelier, I'm not talking about men in general. Men in general who are supportive, caring, loving, and all of that. Cool, they could be in a relationship. But these types of people need to not be in relationships with women, and definitely don't need to be married and having children, because this is gross. I was looking for the OP's comments because I needed her to say, I'm breaking up with him. So I went to her page, and this is the first comment I saw. She says, when I tell you I'm absolutely shocked by this. I am the breadwinner and have a nice job, and he would always hype me up about how amazing I am to other people and smart. I just honestly can't wrap my head around what he said behind my back. I didn't see this coming at all. I'm about to head into my volleyball game. This only happened a few hours ago, and I want to clear my head before I react to what I heard and can process it. And so she is the breadwinner. He works, but she's the breadwinner, so she makes the majority of the money, and he's probably jealous or insecure about that. That's the reason why he is ranting about women. Tiger Shark hones in on two pieces of that woman's comment saying, I am the breadwinner and have a nice job, and he would always hype me up about how amazing I am to other people and smart. She says, reread this. He wants you to finance his life, which is fine as long as he doesn't bite the hand that feeds him. Unfortunately for him, his meal ticket just expired since he bit your hand. He did. He bit her head. Like, he doesn't like her. She needs to take this and just like figure out how she's going to get out of this. But if she's the breadwinner, that means that she can just figure it out. He'll have to figure out his accommodations, but she needs to pick herself up and get out of that situation. Nim Bar Wong says, I don't even talk about my ex-wife like this to my friends. And Kozak says, wait, are you the sole breadwinner in the relationship? Because if so, that adds a whole other layer to the situation. If he's not working, what is the reason? This could be the case where he's pulling the long con, hyping you up because he wants you to bankroll his lifestyle. When you look back over the 5 years with him in hindsight, do you see behaviors that align with this type of stuff he was saying when he was gaming? Specific Succotash says, oof, yeah, he's using you. He hypes you up so the gravy train doesn't stop. Sorry, OP. Malaproperism says, I'm so sorry. It's painful hearing these kinds of things in general, let alone from someone who claims to love you, has made a life commitment to you. I don't have good advice. I've not made the best choices with men myself, LOL, but trying to put it away for now and deal with it when you're done. Do you have any family or friends to talk to before you have to confront him? Like, what is there? There's no real decision. He doesn't like you and he doesn't like women. This doesn't seem like this is a very hard decision to make. Here's the OP again saying he is employed and works a lot to pay off his student loans, but always hypes up the type of job I have and says he's proud to be with me. I say this because I was just surprised that he would act like this and then say such sexist things. He called me on my drive from volleyball to tell me how much he loves me and can't wait to see me. So he sounds like he feels guilty about what he said. He still has no idea that I overheard him. I do want to be fair and share my role in this situation and say that I did have a meltdown about my weight and was pretty upset. I told him that he doesn't look at me the way he used to. She says, I'm not saying this to excuse what was said, just to provide more context. Honestly, the context doesn't even matter. What made him pop off like that was not a one-off thing. That's how he feels deep down about her and about women. And she says, update. He has a birthday party in 2 weeks. He just mentioned that he is inviting a new gaming friend, the one he was talking to. So awkward that I would now meet this guy knowing what my fiance said to him. I just feel so bad. I can't even look at him right now. You don't have to. You could break up. Useful Blackberry says, do you really want to marry this weird woman-hating liar, binding yourself to him contractually by law and potentially by blood forever if you two ever have children? Is this the father your future daughter deserves? Is this the husband you deserve? Let's be honest. Even if you speak to him about it, do you seriously think he'll change or will just hide it from you better? The giant red flag is there. You're so lucky to have witnessed this now. Many women never get that preview. They wake up one day and he suddenly changed after marriage. Save your future self. Yes, she sees it all. If she continues with this, she had her eyes wide open and made a conscious decision. She really needs to make the decision to bounce, but that's me saying that. And yeah, I know we say this a lot, but get out and save yourself. Now, T Dessert says, when someone shows you who they are, believe them. Panic and Zen says, solid and classic piece of advice. And Jen RN adds, the first time. When someone tells you who they are, believe them the first time. I took those first set of screenshots last night. I just checked and she did update again. She says he has 3 12-hour shifts in a row for work. So I'm going to confront him after his last shift. She has a whole lot of patience because I don't know many people who could just sit on this information for that long, but okay. She says the comments around wanting a partner in life that I can confide in at my worst, celebrate me, or just keep things private behind my back are an ally to women and respect me is so important. I eventually want to have kids and want a father figure that they can look up to and would never say these degrading things about women. I think he deserves the opportunity to explain himself because I only heard his half of the conversation, but regardless, it was unacceptable. He needs help working through his own issues. It's making me rethink other scenarios, and if he was lying in the past, I don't think I can move past overhearing this. So this is the last comment that she put on her post. So we shall see, but she says that he has 3 12-hours. So that's 3 days from now. So we shall see. If somebody can remember to remind me to go back and check, that would be amazing. But let me know what you think so far. So y'all know that I am team let the birth rate plummet to hell. So people tag me in posts that go along with the things that I'm saying. So this is a Threads post from a woman named Dr. Mika. She says, women do not owe the world an increase in birth rates. Every few months, there's a new headline. Fertility crisis, declining birth rates, who will take care of the aging population? And every time the finger points at women. Have more children, sacrifice more, save the economy. But let's be clear, women are not incubators for GDP. We are not vessels for demographic policy. We are human beings with autonomy. And you can see what's going on in politics where they are trying to strip our autonomy. They're trying to strip our capacity to make money. They're taking away Head Start and things like that where moms can actually go to work and have a place for their children. They're doing this systematically because they want to make sure that we are just incubators and not humans with autonomy. But I love that so many people are having these conversations. So many women are having these conversations in various spaces because then the other women chime in. But let's finish looking at what Dr. Mika was saying. The reality is that women's declining fertility is not a crisis of irresponsibility. It's the predictable result of systems that make motherhood unbearable, lack of childcare, unaffordable housing, unbalanced domestic labor. We'll say that again. Unbalanced domestic labor, and partners who still expect women to carry the emotional and financial load alone. This paragraph is a mic drop in itself. If governments and societies truly wanted higher birth rates, they would invest in women's health, maternal safety, equal pay, and family support. Maternal safety is so important. Safety from their partners and safety as far as labor and delivery and services and doulas and all of that. She says, until then, no woman owes her body, her energy, or her future to solve political or economic anxieties. Women do not exist to reproduce, and choosing not to have more children is not selfish, it's survival, wisdom, and self-determination. I love everything about her post. And I did just do this article. It says US sees nearly 6 million, 5.7 million more. It says childless, but let's go ahead and go with child-free because many of these women are opting out on purpose. So the US sees 5.7 million more child-free women than expected, fueling a demographic cliff. So there are more child-free women than they expected. And I've already done the whole article, but I loved this part of the article. It said in 2024, the United States was home to 44.2 million women in the prime childbearing age range 20 to 39. Of this group, 23.1 million or 52% had not given birth. The analysis showed that the number of childless women in this age bracket was 5.7 million higher than it would have been if the fertility patterns of 2006 had continued. This represents a rapid acceleration of the trend, with the surplus of childless women growing from 2.1 million in 2016 to 4.7 million in 2022, and now 5.7 million in 2024. They said in this article that nearly 12 million children, 12 million babies had not been born because of the women in this age demographic opting out of having children. Let the birth rate continue to plummet to hell, because until things get better for women in general in this society, this world, this political climate, this earth, this country does not deserve the sacrifice that goes along with motherhood, because they have made it too expensive. They've made it imbalanced, and they are systematically attempting to take away women's autonomy, and women are saying, get someone else to do it. If you're over on YouTube, go ahead and check out my video and give it a like. It's right here. I posted it just yesterday. Dr. Mika's post was well thought out. It speaks to the things that different women are speaking on, and women are saying this in multiple different spaces. This, of course, made the men on the post upset. Trigger Mike says this is 100% true. Alternatively, men do not owe you birth control access, legalized abortion, or maternity leave. Let the chips fall where they may. So he's going back to the point where we need to continue to strip away women's rights. So let's just think, stripping away women's rights, So are you going to make a woman pair up with a dude? Are you about to legalize slavery again? Is that what we're talking about? And it's so wild that a black man is speaking on this as if he's perfectly fine with women being slaves. Because when you take away access to the things that make our bodies our own, what you're saying is, let's go back to having slaves. Now, this man right here, Mr. Arkansas says, I have a hypothetical. I have 4 daughters and love that they can live their life how they see fit. What will women do if the majority of men collectively decided women don't get any more rights? No voting, no birth control, and viewed as property. How will women stop men from taking it all away? Sounds ridiculous, but what if? It's not that ridiculous because this has happened before. Women had to fight for the rights for birth control, voting, not being viewed as property. And this speaks to the fact that many of these people have no rooting in the history in this country. The whole father giving away the daughter to the husband, that was a property transfer. Under coverture laws, a wife belonged to her husband. So he's talking about a hypothetical when we have already lived it. He continues with, I'm not being sarcastic, nor do I want that to happen, but life happens in cycles. There are other countries women used to have rights, but don't anymore. And like I said before, in this country, women did not have rights. That's the whole reason for the feminist movement and women fighting for the rights to birth control. Because yes, there was a time when the government decided that women shouldn't have access. There was a time that women couldn't vote. And remember the whole no taxation without representation. So y'all really want to strip our rights to vote, but that's going to impact taxes because yes, women do work. So no taxation without representation. I highly doubt we're going to repeal the 19th Amendment. And I did say all of that in a comment. He did not come back and respond, but I said, we've already lived this in this country. Women were basically owned by men. They were property passed from father to husband. It's too bad that history isn't taught well enough, but feminism was a thing for a reason. So we could own ourselves. So there's no need for a hypothetical when you can look to history. Why so many of y'all dream of female slavery as hypotheticals is concerning. Seba says, with comments like yours, that's enough for most women to not want to have kids. Why even bring up maternity leave? Maternity leave benefits both parents. And then Trigger Mike says, obviously, this went over your head. My post implied mothers will be caring for their own children if we removed all medical birth control. Maternity leave would not be necessary. And you know what? If they stripped away birth control, women need to continue to clamp down on their wombs and make them lonelier. Don't give them access at all. And I'm glad that so many women are already opting out. And I do believe that this is the reason why so many of them are experiencing this loneliness, because they really thought that they were going to get a bunch of access, but women are saying, nuh-uh. And it's proven in the data. A lot of people were acting like 4B couldn't be a thing, but women are like, I'll show you. And it's showing up in the numbers. Mark, another man, saying, of course they do owe society that. It's part of their responsibility in the informal social contract that civilized society is bound by. If women don't owe that, then men don't owe doing anything to maintain the food supply, energy, or critical infrastructure, and the whole thing very quickly collapses and becomes more primitive. So women, you owe your body, you owe your reproductive system to these people because a social contract that you didn't necessarily sign, but you're bound by it. Puff Diva Star says, when men start treating women right, I'm 100% sure they will want to reproduce, but men don't want to do that. So that's where we are. Women are saying, nope, nope, nope. And men are like, well, you owe this. They don't want to listen. So women are closing down shop. Join the conversation. Let me know what you think. So y'all know the content creator, the speech professor. Well, he gave us an amazing thread post, and you need to see it. He says, I don't know why everyone is saying the text messages from Tyler Robinson look fake. This is a text exchange I just had with my wife yesterday. Wife, I'm ordering a pizza for dinner. Do you want anything else? Me. My dearest beloved, it is I, your husband, the speech professor. My heart weighs heavy with the burden of confession. I can no longer bear the crushing weight of my transgressions against the moral fabric of our society. Wife. What? Me, 3 days hence, whilst navigating the thoroughfare of Maple Street, I approached the crimson octagonal sign of secession. Yet, in my hubris and haste, I merely decelerated to what scholars might call a rolling motion, rather than achieving complete vehicular stillness. Wife? Okay. Me, but wait, my cherished life companion, for my sins run deeper than the Mariana Trench. Last Tuesday, as I consumed my midday sustenance outside the local McDonald's establishment, a napkin, yes, a napkin, escaped my grasp and was carried by Eleusis winds into the parking lot. I witnessed this environmental catastrophe unfold, yet I did not pursue the wayward paper product. Me, I am a litter bug, Martha, a common criminal of the highest order. Wife. Who is Martha? It says you for some strange reason, so okay. Furthermore, my beloved angel sent from heaven's gates, I must confess that on no fewer than 17 occasions, I have exceeded the posted speed limit by margins of 3 to 7 miles per hour. I am a menace to society, a speed demon whose lead foot knows no mercy. Me, and perhaps most shamefully of all, I have been parking in spaces clearly marked compact cars only whilst driving my standard size Honda Accord. The guilt consumes my very soul. Wife, are you okay? Me, there is more, my darling Rose of Sharon. I have sampled grapes at the grocery store without purchasing them. I have used the express lane with 11 items when the sign clearly stated 10 items or less. I have failed to return my shopping cart to designated collection area on windy days. I am but a shadow of the man you married, corrupted by my own moral failings and petty civil infractions. Wife, I'm calling your mom. Me, I must also confess, my dearest Nightingale, that these acts of rebellion were not mere accidents. Nay, they were calculated actions of a man whose political awakening led him down a dark path of moderate inconvenience to society. Me, if you must speak to mother, tell her I also tore the tag off our mattress, the one that said, "Do not remove under penalty of law." This was my final act of defiance against the system, my precious dove of democracy. But know this, every rolling stop was a blow against automotive tyranny. Every unpaid parking meter was a strike for economic justice. Every grape sampled was, well, that was just hunger, honestly. If the authorities come for me, know that I regret nothing except not loving you enough to be upstanding, to be the upstanding, law-abiding, property parking citizen you deserve. Wife. K. And scene.
My dearest roommate, I pen this missive by the flames of candlelight, the hour grown exceedingly late. Pray heed not the disarray of my attire. Apparently everybody else on TikTok has access to a full theater department wardrobe. But back to you, my darling. How I have longed for thy presence. I am persuaded that some malevolence doth lurk among us. Lo, I am resolved to purge it hence. Pray, let us convene anon. What engagements dost thou hold for the coming week? Do send word with haste. Yours steadfastly and expectantly, Tyler.
Okay, I just want you to look at all these pictures and tell me if you notice any similarities between these
They
people.
all have hair,
Yes, very good. They do. They all have hair. Good job.
and they all have 2 eyes,
Yeah, they all have 2 eyes. Nice.
and they all have hands.
Yeah, very good. They all have hands. Do you notice anything else? Maybe about the way they look or
I don't understand.
anything about their coloring, kind of maybe the color?
It's like apples and oranges.
Right.
Some of them are pink and some of them are kind of a peach.
What if I told you that they are mostly white?
I'm not seeing that.
You're not seeing that. Okay, great.
I don't see that.
That's fine. What about anything else? Is there anything else that you're noticing that's consistent?
They are all men.
Yes, exactly.
Mentally ill
Oh, well.
because of trans.
Okay, well, let's go ahead and cut it off there.